Yeah, I'm with you now. I've switched it where I thought we were gonna have it at the end of April,
Yeah.
and now I'm like, no, it's gonna be after the 4th of July. I feel like I'm with you on
Well,
that. So
the one thing about it is that Josh has committed to a date that he would make the announcement of the date. So on that date, we will go ahead and make that announcement of the announcement.
Exactly, the date of the announcement date will be forthcoming at some date in the future.
Yes. So we will announce that date when Josh announces the date of the date.
Welcome to Around the Corn, the podcast dedicated to Cornucopias, a leading Web3 AAA rated quality game. This show is presented by the Knights Guild, the largest guild in the history of Cornucopias. Thanks for tuning in. Smash the like and subscription buttons. It's the best part of my and my co-host's day. Got wild theories or questions about the game? Drop them in the comments and we will pretend we know what we're talking about next episode. Follow us and the Knights Guild on X. Dive deeper on the Guild Discord and the website. All the links you need are in the description. I am one of your hosts, Bo Hubris. As always, I am joined by the man who never loses his land address due to inactivity. You love him. I love him. The great Eddie Z.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I hope I never lose my wallet or my land plots. That'd be the worst, I will say. I think the only way I would lose them would be if I lost my wallet, I guess, or passwords.
Yeah, right. Or if you just got to put in a coma for a season or something, and we're all like, whatever happened to that guy? That's happened on Warcraft. Like a guild member of mine, when I was playing Warcraft, he just vanished. I actually used the information I knew about him to find out if he was okay because he had been sick. And he was sick, and he just wasn't able to play anymore. But I was I did a whole people search to find him. I got real creepy about it because I was like, what? We were worried when you get close to people in game and guilds, they disappear, and you're like, I hope it's just life. That's why you're not here.
Yeah, so. I mean that's the one thing I've also been fearing about, especially with all the stuff that's going on and within the Cornucopias and just the feel after the most recent announcement in terms of land plot moving and all that. But it is true. I mean, anything could happen. I mean, somebody could just decide not to play anymore, and they just completely forget. And it's been 5 years, and next thing you know, they come back and log back in, and they realize, oh, I lost my mythic location I used to have. What happened?
So we're gonna get into the land movement definitely. There was so much from this Copi Café. They took a couple weeks off, and then they hammered us with this one. We feel like it's probably about 2 episodes worth of content. So we're gonna talk mostly about the land grab this week, I think, Eddie, and then next week maybe we'll do the whole governor NFT idea. But there was a couple of there was one leak that I don't even know if it was planned or not. You never really know because they're cheeky about it. But they kind of dropped the drone shooting contest or the drone shooting. I think it's part of the arcade trials or shooting, and now there's maybe flying drones that you're trying to shoot down. That seems like it's going to be fun.
Yeah, at least it gives us to be able to test their targeting system and all that. So I think it's really just more testing, and get more reviews from people to just really submit their opinions of how the feels of the guns are, how they're accurate they are, if they should be tweaked a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited to try those out, and I'm sure it's going to be gamified, leaderboard, and all that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I hope so. I hope with this added time that they've been taking, that they are able to put leaderboards into the time trial, the shooting ranges and stuff like that, because it's that makes it even more fun. And I do think that if you're shooting down drones, you're really just kind of one small step away from shooting mobs, right? If that's what's coming in the next build, that's really just you would think the next build or the build after that, there's going to be actual things for us to kill, which I can't wait.
Yep. I mean, they already they claim it's practically ready there. I mean, or not practically ready, but I guess they did say that they have the land stuff practically ready. But I'm
gonna go explore down here, buddy.
Yeah, go right ahead. I'm actually gonna do the same, just skydive or base jump Tom Cruise. Mission Impossible.
So the top of these buildings are really cool. Sometimes there's I'm going to my I think actually maybe the week after this I'll be in Miami for the weekend, so we might not have an episode that week, but we're hoping to stay in a nice high-rise building like this with a bar and a pool up top. So
Oh, dude, yeah, it is a lot of cool. I actually recently got a suite at an MGM recently, and it was really really nice.
You in what? You in Vegas?
No,
Oh,
here in DC, we have
oh,
an
okay.
MGM
You
over
have
here.
gym.
It's a yeah, we have an MGM. So I want to say it's about 700 rooms. It's a nice resort here in National Harbor, Maryland.
I
It's
got I
really
got Vegas withdrawals right now because the World Series of Poker is going on, and I've been many times,
uh,
but I haven't been in a number of years, and I really miss it.
okay. Maybe you can get a table.
Yeah, I mean it's going on for another month and a half, so maybe I could get in. Anyways,
Mm.
enough about poker and life. Uh, so
No.
uh, we've talked about this on here a bunch, the delay in the land grab, whether it's a good idea or not. And we're bringing it up again because they brought it up in this week's Copi Café. And I was thinking about it, Eddie. I was thinking like, you know, when you do this land grab, it's like a one-time opportunity, this first land grab, to hold people's attention. And so many other games that have done the land grab, and then there's nothing for months, maybe years after that, right? And all those people that got excited about the land grab were like, who knows where they are now and what happened to them and if they're disappointed and whatnot. And so like, I think it's a really big risk for them to do the land grab before there's something to build on it. It's like a huge wasted opportunity. I was wondering what you thought about that.
I mean, again, we're still in the early developments. I'm not too worried. I mean, I do want something to do on a land grab. Obviously, like that's like everybody else. They want to get something out of what they can. And obviously, some people who want to flip their NFTs and they want to be able to sell it, and they want some
Some demand to
incentivization. Yeah,
for
to sell it because they don't want to sell it at a low price is the issue, right? So some people just want to get out, right? Because they want to just sell and make some money, right? But then there are those gamers like myself where yes, I want something to be able to be be able to do with your land plot. So
it'll be really good to have that and to be able to test it and to be able to like give that feedback right now. What's fun about the land building? What's like kind of like I because like when you have like I know the commons are the small commons or the smalls whatever, they're like nice size, but like I do wonder like how much time is it going to take you to build out a small, because like like there's not enough room for the big buildings, so you're going to be limited to that. And then it's like, oh well, like is it going to be like, oh, I want to move this building to this corner, or is it like this corner, right? Like there's not a lot of options, I think, especially the smalls, on having like diversity. Or is it like, oh well, I'm going to build this building and then you realize you don't like it and then you try to trade it out for another building. And I mean like I wonder what it is about that land building that's going to be like an ongoing fun thing, and how to keep it fun where you're just like, oh, I built my land now, and so now it's like, what else is there to do?
Yeah, well, there's got to be some. I mean, I would think that Cornucopias team is going to be looking into other games that do it successfully, just like Animal Crossings and like The Sims, just because they clearly are very successful at doing stuff like that when terms of creating and decorating and what you can do. And some games like what was isn't there games like Silicon Valley, like it's more of another PC game that's out there that's doing it right. I think just follow the formula that's already been laid out for you and just apply it to your game, right? It's just so almost not like a copy and paste, but like as long as you follow their formula, it works. Why break it? Just incorporate it into the game, and just figure out what makes it entertaining for people. And a lot of it has to do with just customizing and being able to have a variety of options. That's what really matters. The more options, the better, because the more that you can make your space significantly more tuned to
unique,
you, right?
Yeah. That's gonna
exactly.
But I wonder how much. So the buildings that we seem to have seen so far are well, we've seen some like white mock-ups of some buildings, right? We've seen that building that's over there in Solace 2 on top of the mountain. We've seen the wood chopper, and we've seen the red one that was the refiner, right? I don't think there's going to be much variety in those. I mean, because there's like level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do wonder if like, oh, you're going to be really able to make your apartment really unique, but your land is going to be really kind of like similar. I wonder if like, because like what would be disappointing is if like you have a town and it's like the same
same looking
layouts.
town.
in each plot, right? Like how are you going to incentivize diversity, and how can you make it completely unique, right? Like where it's like, oh, is it just these buildings that are options, or are there going to be like special monuments and stuff that you can put on there or something, or like what will make your land stand out is I think important to figure out.
Yeah, I will say, well, I do hope that as you go from town to town, there is a look and feel that is completely different into the location. Obviously, we already know the scenery is going to be completely different as you go from town to town, from theme zone to theme zone as well. So that's great. But in terms of structure, because you're right, everything that we've seen thus far has been almost like the same looking buildings that are like in terms of the homes, but I think that was just mock-up stuff, or that was early on. I think people are going to have their own style. I will say I'm curious if that's why they decided to do like a governor NFT, just because that means that maybe they have certain decisions to make that allow certain people to build certain type of style architecture, maybe type stuff around in the building. Like just as an example, like you have HOAs, right, in real life, where they decide you can't have, you can't cut down that tree, or you can't have a certain fence, or you have to have this style of a front door. I mean, some locations
didn't Trump talk about outlawing HOAs though? Wasn't that something he mentioned a while ago? I don't know. I was like, that was like the greatest idea I ever heard him say out loud,
because it can be a little bit nuts, right? Like, I mean, the fact that I can't change my door to a style door that I want, because they want to keep the same like aesthetic, style of homes from house to house for the entire neighborhood, is a bit much. But that's the type of stuff that could be happening. I mean, but it's also a negative, right? So to some people,
if that's all HOAs were, I wouldn't mind it. It's more like you have this little garden gnome in your front yard. Here's a $200 fine,
right?
So
exactly,
it's $200 fine a day.
It's a little dumb. It's so dumb, and I get it. So, but again, maybe it could be a good thing that if you have a good governor, or and you are voting on, hey, I want this aesthetic for our town, because I'm curious also if like the team themselves has decided like what each town is allowed to build in terms of an architecture, because there are different decor. The buildings are going to be looking differently based on their rarity too, right? That's at least from what we know, unless they change something.
So I have been thinking about this a lot lately, actually, and if I was, this is one of those moments where if I was building this game, which I'm not, I'm just someone watching, but if I was, the way I would do it is, instead of like giving you like, okay, an option to build A, B, or C this season, right? What I think, the way I do it is like how well your district performs in a season. You get a certain amount of points or credits or whatever, and you can spend those credits however you want. So maybe it's like you have 100 credits, and maybe it's 10 credits for lights, 10 credits for like a bridge, or maybe it's like 80 credits for this one big building with like 20 credits left over. So that way it's it's like, oh, it's not like every district is going to be able to build at the same rate. It's the best district is going to be able to build at the fastest rate, and then the other districts are going to have to build slower because they're going to have less credits, and maybe because you're like in a bad district, it's going to take you 3 seasons to save up for that building that you want, and you're gonna and so like I think that's would be a really good way to kind of like make each district growing at different paces, or for a different, maybe you do all the cheap things first, maybe you do the most expensive thing first, and like so like a lot of different people will decide differently.
Yeah, I'm curious because if that's the case, right, then obviously there's going to be different like towns that progress at different rates. So like you'll see, I'm curious what town will get there first, like what town out there will become a New York City,
become like a little metropolis, right?
Yeah, well, and that's that always makes me question. Again, I always have the question. I was like, how high can we build? Like, can we go? Like, are there sky rights too? Like, I mean, and how does weather work when it comes out to, there's so many other questions I have. It just opens up a can of worms.
But this all tied to the land grab, because like it's gonna have to come quick. I mean, when you build out the land and you learn the crafting and all that, when you build that in the game, like it makes sense to me. The next logical step is like, well, how do you build out the districts on a larger scale? Like that's that's got to be on the horizon. And like if and they did reaffirm this last Copi Café that it is their goal to be, I think before they were saying by Q2 of this year, but now I think it's changed to sometime this year. And they're not saying they will be, they're saying they want to be. So maybe it's like, really gonna like bleed into next year. But like if you're gonna be on Epic Games, like I think it really behooves you to have a real game to play. And like now, if you like, you're modeling the districts building and all that stuff to make sure that works. That's like a really valuable thing to have there.
Yeah, I agree. I think even the announcement of it being on Epic Games, I thought was pretty big news in my opinion. I mean, like, dang, that's like a no. You just kind of breeze right over that. Like that's a big. It
news. Was such a big Copi Café. They almost breezed over the whole episode because it was just like. But there was a lot of discussion on Discord, and we will probably get into that next episode about the governor stuff. But like, I want to talk about what I think is probably there maybe co-equal big news to the governor is the land movement thing, and I don't know that this has ever been openly said before. I know on this show we have talked about a fear of we had of inactive players, ghost towns, like dead zones, and how you deal with that. And it seems like they've decided to deal with it is that you're not actually buying land, you're buying licenses to use on the land. And when you really think about it, if you're going to spend all this time to build this land grab mechanism, right? And you need it to work, but then if you only ever use it one time, or maybe like once every few years when you build like a new theme zone or something, like what a waste that is. Like what a huge waste it would be to build this land grab mechanism and then never use it again. I think it makes the game, the strategy of the game, way more interesting in the way guilds might now be able to work together to actually control entire areas where before we thought it was impossible to do that because the land was going to be so spread out.
Yeah, this does help for sure. Guilds, this helps out a lot of people. That I was like at first like I don't know about being able to change your at first initially, but then I started. Yeah, I think there is that issue, that problem that might happen. And just imagine if there was also like a particular solace or theme zone that didn't have as many towns that were claimed because that was the least popular one, right? It's just like, and then there's all these dead land plots that are out there, these NFTs that are out there that are not being used, or someone maybe they were a whale and they have like 300 land plots and they just never came back to it because maybe in real life, unfortunately, maybe they're gone. Maybe there's people like lost their wallet. Maybe they're deceased. Or how do you handle that too? Because if this is a forever game, if you think about it, it opens up an ethical can of worms in terms of transferring land like that you own. Like you can't sell it, right? But like let's say you're trying to pass this on. This is an asset technically, right? You want to be able to pass it down to your kid, like my gamer child, right? In the future, right?
I've wondered about this too because I've been thinking more and more about like will writing and stuff like that.
Right.
And
exactly.
Because like you're not supposed to have like your keys. You need to protect them, right? Mm-hmm. But like if I'm like it's like in my will and I'm passing on my crypto to my girlfriend, it's like the envelope in my desk, if you open it up, it has the password and keys to my wallet. But do I really want that in my desk in an envelope? Especially after this news report, I'm sure you heard about it, of this man being tortured to give up his keys for
I heard
Bitcoin.
About that. Yes.
So which I was already a fear that I had before this. It's like what if I get like kidnapped and it's like someone sees my phone and they're like, and I have my information on there and they're like, oh, open up this wallet and give it to us. That's why I don't have any wallets on my phone or anything like that. It's like so I do wonder what the right protocol is to like to be able to make sure that generationally you pass on your NFTs to your family or to other people.
Yeah, that's why sometimes I don't even really talk about crypto. And that's another like fear out there. That's just another crazy thing that could happen, right? It's just being all these people with crypto, like I'd never let anybody on my phone really just because of that. And you just never know. But
they're out there trying to take it from you because like even this woman I work with who I've never talked about crypto, she came into work and told me, you're not going to believe what happened to my uncle. and he got scammed. That there's like this scam that's going around, like it's a text message from Coinbase saying there's been an issue, and then you go to this website that looks like Coinbase, and it's like you put in your information to try to resolve it. Next thing you know, your Coinbase has been jacked. So
and it looks so legit because I've had the same stuff, and I'm like, I know what tokens I have, and so they hit every token. It's annoying. So
over time, the number of active land plots will diminish. There's just no way around it. It's gonna be, it's gonna reach a peak, but over time it's gonna go down, and there's already no chance that it's at 100% right now, and it will never be at 100% plots active. So it makes a lot of sense that they would seek to fix this now. I do wonder what happens though if over time it gets worse and worse, and now you have, instead of one ghost town, you have 2 ghost towns or 3 ghost towns. I do wonder if there's a way to make the ghost towns still part of the game, or is it just going to be like this forgotten city in like the most like least sought after part of Solace 2 or something.
It's like the land of the dead, or the land of the forgotten, or something like that. Or and also at the same time, like when it comes down to, like, do you think auctioning is the best option though for us to, like, let's say like to teams like it's never been active since they purchased it, they never claimed these NFTs, it's been 5 years, we're gonna go ahead and foreclose them and go ahead and should they auction them? How should they handle that?
So it's funny, we didn't even plan about talking about this, but I did have this question of like, okay, let's say on average we have 20% of land plots that are not active, right?
Yeah.
And now the question becomes like, well, if they're not active, they haven't been active in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to sell replacement land plots? Because like let's assume, okay, you've been gone for 4 years or something, and then you come back, right? One would presume that if you come back, there will be open land plots for you, right? There's like if you sold 120% licenses for all the land plots, then there's a good chance that maybe all the land plots will be filled, right? And then like, so like maybe there's an opportunity to have another land sale at some point for like a provisional land plot, right? Where like, look, like we can't guarantee you this land plot in case these people come back, but for maybe half the price of whatever the mint price would be, you might get this provisional land plot, and then you too can work these inactive lands now. And maybe that's a way to, like, have you run the risk of getting taken back one day when if they all magically return, but we all know that they're not going to all magically return, right? So I wondered if that was another way to fix this issue.
So you're saying kind of like a co-op, like they co-op own it at that point? Is that what you're saying?
Well, so if you have this, like, so maybe like if you've been really inactive for a long time, multiple seasons, and you got more and more dead space growing up, building, right? You start to sell these provisional land plots, and as long as there's open land plots, you can always have land. The only way you lose land and you have to wait for a new plot to open is if all these dead land plots come back one day at the same time, right? So that's what I'm thinking. Like it's a provisional land license to let you work and maintain the dead land, that the dead lease of somebody else, and that way you could because if like 30% of land plots are dead or vacant, and then you sell like 15% more of these provisional land plots, well, now you have like these active players getting to use it, and these inactive players are like sitting in like a bucket somewhere waiting to come back. They come back, and then okay, this you can go take these dead land plots right now, and the next season you can move again, right?
Yeah, I'm curious based on that. So you're saying, so for example, I have a land plot that I do not use. You come in and say, hey, I got a provisional NFT, and so I'm going to go ahead and use mine because I haven't been here in 5 years. And you use it to work. You use it to grow crops. You use it to grow,
earn rewards, and things like that.
Earn rewards, but what happens when I come back after 5 years, and so basically, I would think that you would want to keep everything that you own, but the person who comes back is bare blanket,
let's just say let's imagine every single land plot is occupied with an active player except for one, okay? And that one land plot never gets used, okay? So the way I would envision it is that they sell one provisional land license, and then I would go get that, I would essentially own that land, and then the person who had it would be like in this bucket somewhere, waiting to come back. Okay, and then let's say like in that time I'm running this land, 2 more land plots open up and they become inactive, and so now there's 3 people in the bucket.
Yep.
Then you come back and you're like, hey, I want to get land now. What's going on here? And then you could take your choice of either those 2 land plots, right, that are open, or the one who's occupying you provisionally. And then if you choose to take his land, then he would just be kicked to another land plot that's vacant.
And that person would have to like choose which one of the other
which
2.
One of those 2, right? And
Gotcha.
so the only way that a provisional land plot owner would ever be completely removed from the game is if everybody came back and took all those land plots, right?
Yeah.
So that way you could avoid even having a dead town, right? Like, because like if you're in it with 2 or 3 dead towns, I think that's still a problem, for the game as a concept, right? Like you would want every land plot being occupied and used by an active player.
I agree. I think you definitely want to have. I mean, I think it would be fine if there were a few here and there out there.
Absolutely. But like entire dead towns, I think, is a huge problem.
Oh, dang it! What is it? I just got teleported. Where was I going? Oh yeah, I was going to the tower. No, it just brings up a bunch of different topics. I like that idea too. I mean, it's something that maybe they can just consider as well. Right. I honestly don't know there are pros and cons to everything. Again, all of this has never been done before. That's one thing we also have to consider as well with any game. Doesn't matter, they're going to be it's just going to be trial and error. I can see people getting upset. I don't think I think the team just needs to focus again on what they want to do and just go with it, regardless of what the community says, at least at this stage. And if it ends up becoming an extremely negative, overwhelmingly negative review on everything, on how they're doing things, there has to be a plan to roll that back at some point in a way. So if that's fair, because once it's out there, right? Because we're in this NFT world here where things move forward. It's kind of hard to go back after a certain once the game is released.
We'll get into the criticisms next episode of like the governor NFTs and stuff like that. But I do like, and all those criticisms are valid, but I am with you. I kind of want to see what their idea is, like fully fleshed out, and then decide if it's like, good or not. What do you think of like if they keep doing it this way, if they do it the way they said, and there's like maybe going to be like a ghost town or something, like what do you have any ideas on how would that ghost town, like if you went in it, would it be like filled with trash? Like what, like could one of the side quests be like to go, like, hey, we like keeping Cornucopias clean. You want to go, you got to go to the ghost town or whatever, and do some cleanup or whatever. Like, could you imagine like being stuck in a ghost town like with a land plot? Like maybe that's where you end up, and now you're just in this terrible district that never improves, right?
Yeah, that does suck for the people who end up wanting to play, and that is true. Like
how can you make it part of how would you try to make the ghost town part of the game, like where it fits in with the lore and things like that?
I would think that there would be a lot more missions that make you go towards that town. That's just me, because we always talk about like if there's a mission in a particular area, then you kind of want to live there, right? Because you want to be like, if let's say if we have a 2-week event, a 2-week gaming event at Queryside, and it's like that could be the ghost town. Queryside is a ghost town, but they have like a 2-week event of gaming that's there, and if it's a ghost town, of course at that point that fixes that, right? People would want to move there, because if that's the case, then they'll move their land plots to that location because they don't want to take the time to go spawn at Solace 3. I'd have to go to Solace 1 or Solace wherever Queryside is, in whichever Solace, or they could be in Esperanza, and they don't want to have to do the whole drive there and all that stuff. So that could probably fix that scenario. That's probably how they can get that town involved.
I was thinking about one thing that I'm excited about the land movement is I don't know if it's going to be advantageous to have all my land in the same area or have it spread out, right? So I can now choose to spread it out in the land grab, and then if I want to later on, I can put it all together as best I can, right? Because like one question I have is, what is inactivity? To maintain the land, if I want to, do all I have to do is log in once every 13 weeks, or do I have to participate? You know, and do I have to make sure each of my land plots are participating? Like for people out there like Levi, who has, I think, 100 plus land plots, if I understand correctly, will he be able
where does he live?
You're like, you know what? Maybe we should hold him hostage and torture him. I don't know, Levi. Don't let your address get out there, because Eddie Z is a dangerous man. But but for someone especially like Levi, who might over time now be able to gradually centralize all his land plots, if that's advantageous to him, now that opens the door. Like, there's such a risk to a one-time land grab and never happening again. It's like, oh, okay, well, now we get to make mistakes and then try again later.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they do have like another 9 land grabs at some point, right? I mean, that's considering that they want to do 12 theme zones, so there will be other land grabs. And if you're right, if the way that they do it now, it could be completely different than how they do it in the future, and they could go back and fix that issue with Solace, Esperanza, and Fortuna. So we'll see how things go. I mean, I think people just need to be aware that this is a brand new concept, and they have to break some eggs to make an omelet, right? So we're gonna see how things go. I'm excited. I think the governor thing is gonna be a really interesting topic as well. But like you said, we'll talk about that next week as well.
Eddie, I wanted to finish our land grab conversation and our land movement conversation here in Solace 1, because it makes sense. This is where the land is, right? Mm-hmm. So I did see there has been a lot of discussion in Discord, and we were going through it. One of my favorite suggestions, is maybe all of a sudden, you need a Cornucopias Zillow, like if not built by the game, but maybe built by a guild or something,
the
right?
community,
yeah, like where you're like, where you get all kind of like heat maps or like ROI calculators, 3D previews if you can, things like that. Like it's just like a real Zillow. I thought that was maybe that's where we're headed here. Like, what do you think about that?
I think there should be. I don't mind. I think that's a great idea. I think it's great that it's also community. I can see there being one done internally for the team, but I think that they should also embrace ones created by communities as well.
Yeah,
and to help
Bag Guild, we're looking at you because they've already built some interfaces that are pretty useful.
Yeah, I think it's one way to have it formatted in their way, because they want to make their marketplace, they want to funnel people to their format right too. So that makes sense. But at the same time, I do think that having people customize their own way of doing things, like we have the Zillow, we have the Redfin, sure there's other websites for real estate but it's like
I'm a Redfin guy. I mean, people have their ones of choice. I choose Redfin. So.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm the same way. I prefer Redfin. Some people do Zillow. I mean, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's like I
basically
pick
like whichever one says my house is worth the most money. Yeah. That's the one I like the most. The time is usually Redfin.
Yeah, and it's honestly, I think that'd be fun, man. It's just, again, more of that role playing thing added into the game that I think a lot of people will end up doing with this game as well. I mean, I think role playing is going to be a major part in this game as well. Just really, really getting into it.
I mean, are we? And then how far away are we from like real estate brokers and like you're like, I want to sell this plot, and then it's like touring the with a pretty avatar and like a nice suit.
Yeah, like one of those HGTV shows where we basically take a rundown house and we rebuild it for them because they haven't been able to spend time on it, right?
Right. Where like the guy complains about the price and the woman just wants to buy all the expensive stuff and the most cliche gender roles ever.
I could see that happening, man. Like, let's say somebody has been playing this game for so much and then they decide to buy a plot that has not been used. Is they just bought an NFT on the Cornucopias marketplace, and then they build it up and then they film it, and they do this whole thing about how this could be your dream home, and they do
We
like
can turn it into an offshoot of Around the Corn, right?
Yeah,
Like where
exactly.
we start doing the DIY.
Yes. I mean, and then you could just go ahead and have a lottery done for it. I mean, you never know. It could be a fun thing, man.
Yeah.
It brings some attention to the game.
That would be hilarious. So it does like beg the question of like, if moving is an option, like what is driving value now? Is it the rarity of your plot, or is it the location of that you've been able to kind of work your way into over many seasons, where like this I've been waiting for this one and now I can go grab it, and then so like what makes that value? And then if you go sell your land plot, you sell your NFT, is the land that you're currently occupying an intrinsic part of that? So could commons now all of a sudden be worth more than mythics because of that specific land plot that's associated with it?
I do believe it does raise the value more so on the lower rarities, but I do still think that obviously we still have the difference in material. Like they say that your land, your building structures that you're going to be building on your land will look a lot better, higher quality resources will be used on the homes versus like lower tier ones. And it's also like season by season, I thought that in terms of like experience points done as well, and maybe some resources that you get season by season and amounts.
Right.
So there are those. So that's something to consider. But it does give value more so. But yeah, like if you wanted to, I think right now in the short term, it's gonna be just because you can choose that location. So like if it has to be locked up for a year or two before it goes foreclosed, and that's just how it's gonna be. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, and I can get with it, and up until it gets foreclosed, I mean, people will be, waiting for that to be foreclosed. Like, oh man, like another 2 more weeks, and here we go. It might pop up on CopiZillow that this is gonna be foreclosed.
Yeah. It's just a really interesting debate, because I do like, because like if you're in districts that are really well built, and you're able to get a land plot in there, and you're able to be able to maximize that land plot even more so than before and earn higher rewards because you're in a better district with more resources. I do think we'll see where I'm sure mythics will always have intrinsic value, like you said, because there's going to be rewards associated with it. Mm-hmm. But I do envision a world where there's some small commons now that are extremely valuable because they are in ideal areas in the best zone, the best districts. So and now that you can, you would have been able to sell your land, right? Because you're going to own it, whether it's you move or not. But now that you can, really kind of work your way into the best areas over time, it's going to make it even harder for those places to sell, because it's the most active people. It's going to be the most scarce land out there, because these are the active players that don't ever elect to move because they're where they want to be. So,
yeah, it's all experimental. We'll see how things flow. I mean, it's exciting, man, to kind of play around. I'm sure they're excited as well, just to kind of play around with what's going to happen. And they do have a lot of levers and strings to be pulling when it comes out to this game. And I'm pretty sure Rob I bet you they have a lot of things coming. I mean, again, a lot of this probably could be answered also with like the governor stuff too, but maybe. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, because you find out that they've been talking about this kind of stuff for months, and now we're just hearing about it. So like when you hear about that, and you know that they're meeting all the time, constantly, between David and department heads, and like Copi Born Josh, and like they're all just meeting each other all the time, talking about all kinds of stuff, working their way through this. So it's like, it's not unfortunate. Where we are is where we are, but where we see we are is, I would venture to say, anywhere from 50 to 70% Like they're either like 50% to 30% ahead of us. You know what we're gonna get. Like their builds internally are so much further along than we even really understand, and it's really just like they just got to work out the bugs of what they have, and then they're going to release it to us. And it sounds like already they keep adding more and more stuff to this next build that they're going to stick into it that we didn't think we were going to get, because like now they're talking maybe leaderboards are going to be more, where they said they don't know that they can get it this build, but maybe now we get leaderboards for the shooting ranges and the drone shooting.
Yeah, I think that's that gamification. That's all that really matters. And one thing that just reminded me was something that you said in a previous episode was, in terms of like the land plots, is like, how we talked about like hotels and being on certain imagine just again based on the rarity, and let's say if you stayed at a hotel, you might get a shield, or you might get more health, or a boost or something like that, right? So based on rarity, that could also be a differentiator as well, like in terms of, because you stayed at a mythic, you get a 2-day boost versus like staying out in a rare that only gives you like a full day, or a common that only gives you like half a day. So it could also be based on that as well. So like, I mean, there are ways to kind of do that, to give you boosts, or to give you maybe they are allowed to sell or not sell, and like, but then you can't kind of limit a certain thing. I don't know, but that's just one thing.
Well, I know that it's been stated, I believe, maybe a long time ago now, that this was not something that they set in stone, but like, the rare rewards that you get, seasonal rewards for your land, maybe there's like like maybe you have a 1% chance of getting like this rare material as a seasonal reward on a common, but maybe it's 10% for the mythic, So like, I mean, I do think that they're going to intrinsically build value into the mythics over, the higher rarities over the lower rarities. I just think I do think there will be some small commons that are as valuable as small mythics in bad areas.
In the future, for sure. I mean, there are those ones that are going to be. I already expect mythics to go for those sought after, like beautiful locations that are very remote, like next to a waterfall, next to a fishing location, next to a mine. The best locations, obviously, because they got first dibs. But it's gonna sit there. It's gonna sit there unused because maybe that person just wanted to sell it. It's probably gonna be a mythic that's being sold for $20,000, right? in Copi, right? But it's just like. And then eventually they're not going to use it. They probably don't even sign in. And next thing you know, they lose their location. And that's a chance for a common small land plot to take over. I mean, yeah.
You know what I was just thinking about, to go back to a subject? It just hit me while you're talking. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But like my idea for like the provisional land licenses.
Yeah.
Like you could make them like there's no like if you're inactive and you get foreclosed on, right? Then why not just make it like, oh, okay, do you want to, like, so what, say the land plot went for like $100, right? Okay, so like, what's 10% of that? $10. Okay, do you want to be able to own this land for the season, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, this person is getting relegated to the foreclosed bucket, and instead of making a ghost town, you can now, okay, well, for $10 or 10 Copi, I can go buy this land plot for this season that should yield me, X amount of Copi. Maybe the value, maybe what it sells for is how much that land was built on, and so now you're operating that land for that season, and then the other person can do like an in-game currency transfer to take it back from you, like or to buy the duration of your lease. Like if it was 10 Copi and you're halfway through the lease, so like it would be a way to keep the whole game occupied by active players, and then not have it be like, okay, well you're gone, so now you lose your ability to get land. You can come back and take it, but instead of making someone shell out all the maybe more money to have like a whole provisional permanent being able to occupy unused land. So like I think maybe there's even other better ways than to ensure that the whole game, and there's not these pockets of inactivity that would still exist under what they're suggesting.
Yeah, and then yeah, there's a lot to think about. I mean, it does get very complicated, and I hope that's the thing too. Like as long as you make it so that a 10-year-old can still understand and grasp what's going on and how that works. So as long as they make it like somewhat easy, that's the only thing that I don't know. There's a lot. I don't know. I can't even like wrap my head around that. It's just
I guess I get worried about when I hear the word ghost towns. That's all. Like the idea, the concept of a ghost town.
Yeah,
it just kind of stands out to me and worries me.
Yeah, I mean, I get why. I mean, I've always thought about like the participant. I mean, that's the thing. You need to participate. If this game becomes a hit, I mean, I will say. I mean, even if it was in the 30,000 people range, like that's still I think that's a good direction to have in terms of how many people are playing. I mean, there are 24,000 land plots currently. So imagine if we get to 30,000 players, then at least like and you and I know that there are multiple players out there that have like 10 plus land plots, right? So it's like
guilds have hundreds. There are a couple individuals that have over 100, I think.
So they'll keep. I think
I have 40. I mean, there's there's a lot of people like me that are in the range of 20 to 40.
Yeah, and guilds are going to obviously have incentives for people to like, hey, let's, we'll reward you for letting us use your land if you're not going to play, right? And that's what's going to happen as well there. So that's going to help that with that scenario. So there has to be probably already built-in solutions for guilds, and which means that's going to also be applied to just single player. All people who are not guild up, right? There's got to be ways for people to get rewarded passively by allowing someone else to just use your land.
So I had wondered about that. If you have your land staked with a guild, do you ever have to log in then? Because if the guild is working that land for you and it's active, I mean, does that now? Is that a workaround for people? Like, I mean, like, or is it like, no, you still have to log in. You still have to do X amount of work to be able to maintain your land. I wondered about that.
I will be considering that they did mention in Copi Café that they want to make it as easy as possible. Because one of the things that does frustrate me sometimes is you have to like log in, right? You have to log in. So they want to make it as easy as possible. So I would think that's in scenarios where you are, doing that and allowing someone else to like stake, then you would not have to. Once you what you're staked, we know you're there. Like you're getting rewards. It's like you set it and forget it. I would think that would be how it would be applied for those land plots.
But like now, if you're like in, I think Levi's initial concern was like, oh, do I have to like, if I have 100 land plots, do I have to like actively work each land plot now to be able to protect myself from losing it, or is it because like if you're in that situation, if that's the metric that they're determining to lose it, it's like, well, that's impossible. And then for a guild, how do you determine who owns that land plot? Is it an individual? Like maybe if it's if our guild determines it's Blocky who owns the land, right? And he doesn't play for a long time. Is it now does the guild like risk losing it? Do you have to like, oh, we forgot to switch it over to Scott or me or you? That's the landowner because we're active. Like what like. That's a concern too for like how, like you said, how guilds are going to be able to manage this.
100%. I would hope that there are stuff that, I mean, I'm not sure if Cornucopias has been working on anything in terms of like or anybody really. I don't know, how would you handle like multi-sig wallets? Like I want to be able to have multi-sig, because like in that particular case, you'd want just like, because what if in your example, I mean, God forbid, I mean, and I think Blocky would 100% be playing this game. So the only reason why I don't think Blocky would be there, right, would be if something were to happen, right? Like, God
he's
forbid,
being held hostage
God
to give
forbid, right? Yeah,
give him all the guild land, give someone all the guild land plots.
Yeah, but
please don't take Blocky hostage. That is not a suggestion. That is just a funny concept with the world today.
Yeah, but
besides, have you seen Blocky? If you try to take him hostage, you would probably beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't want to. But in that scenario, it's like you would have to think like, well, yeah, if he's the leader of the guild and he's running that governor NFT and he's in charge of multiple different assets, like someone from the guild should be allowed to like sign in or log in or use, or like 3 out of the, like, let's say you have a multi-sig that has 5 wallets, then that means at least, you have to have at least 2 signatures, at least, just because you want to be able to mitigate that loss in case something does happen, that we aren't able to control. I mean, that happens. I mean, it's just something that comes to mind. And then rest in peace, Moody, right? Like, it's just like, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's got assets that are, that we won't have. What happens with his assets, right? Like, I'm sure he had land plots and stuff like that too. So, so to consider, I mean, I don't know. That's a consideration right there. It's already happened that we practically know of.
Yeah, it's so there's a ton to think about with this, and I'm glad we're having the conversation now in this early, and we can give in our input, and the community can give in his input, and then this is how whatever the best course of action that's going to be for all this, the best mechanism to make the game the most fun is going to be figured out. It's going to be figured out with like a dialogue between the people that are building and the people that are playing, and the team definitely seems like they know that, and that's really like, great that we're able to have this conversation now. It's why you need to be in there with the suggestions and really just, giving your piece of it.
Yeah, seriously.
Not just you, but everybody out there.
Yeah.
Hammer those suggestions,
For sure. I definitely want people to comment on here and let people know, because they do be like watching our podcast as well, and they like hearing people's comments and suggestions as well as on the Discord. But even just, what do you guys think in terms of like, how they should handle these land plots, and if it came to that, like losing wallets and stuff like that? And do you think it's fair that people can just go ahead and get a better location with a common, if they have a common, right? And it's like that 12-year-old that happens to get a common from his parent, and now he's all of a sudden got the most sought after location just because he was like paying attention,
right place, right time,
right, exactly. So like, is that fair? Considering someone who's I think it would be. I mean, I think, hey, he's fair.
No, I think it absolutely would be fair.
Right?
Like that's the kind of like life survival of the people who show up and pay attention, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how.
That's why we're all in crypto, because we're the ones paying attention to this technological revolution that's happening, and so we're here now, and that's just the way it should. I think it should absolutely work that way, because it's it's how crypto works. Yeah. So there before we get out of here, Eddie, there were a few other things that from this episode I think we should at least talk about. We're gonna, like we said, talk about the governor stuff next episode. Make sure you tune in for that. But I got I think a definitive statement that there's going to be some updates to the mini games, and it looks like Rob had a poll question the other day of which one of these would you like to see updated. Surprise! It sounds like it's all of them. It's Rumble Ball, the HoloCache, and the new Era Trail. So the our big criticism of the Rumble Ball has always been that the ball just goes wherever it wants to, and there's really no, and you're just sitting there running around hoping that there's very little skill to it. It does sound like, I didn't know this, Rob said something about like the mechanics in coding to have a ball work is extremely hard, that it's not something that you can use Unreal Engine for. It's something you have to build kind of on your own, and that they can't, and they don't have, it's not something that are like, even I wouldn't want them to do that on their own. Like, keep Rumble Ball like it is. Like, don't spend a ton of time building the perfect soccer game, because there's other games out there that already do that better. But it'll be cool to see what it's like and see where it could go from here, to see if it's finally something that people want to play, and we have some Rumble Ball tournaments maybe.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to that, it's just about a bunch of like, what do you want it to do in the game? I agree. Right now, it's not the main focus, which is, I'm glad that they're not 100% focusing on Rumble Ball. It's like Rob actually said, it was a concept.
Yeah, there's
it's definitely gonna happen, but it's a concept, and they're trying to make it fun. They're just playing around with it. Here, let's just give you multi balls. It's just like multi Rumble Balls, and news came out of recently of Grand Theft Auto 6 and what you can be doing in that game, and one of them was like playing basketball. One of them was playing, like, you can do fishing, you can do, like, they had a full list. I
meant to bring that list. When I saw it, it was after the last episode we did, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because there was did we look it up right now? Did we go through it? I think we go through it in the last episode. I don't remember.
No, they actually came out with a list of items.
I think we did go through it, and I asked you which one would you want to see in the game, if I remember right.
Yeah. Pulling it up.
We're at that rare stage now. We're in episode 45, and I can't. It all runs together like one big episode. The while you're looking for it, I'll talk about the other big mini game update is the HoloCache update. Now it was said that the mythics will be harder to reach, but my question is like anything hard to reach now with jetpacks like it was before? It used to be so hard to reach them before. Now you have a jetpack. I can't see it being harder than it was before. Could it be?
You'd be surprised. I mean, who knows with David's crazy mind? He'll probably, as sadistic as he is, he'll probably try to frustrate you with certain things. So I can see that. They're like just people just being frustrated with certain things, and that one holocache, that's just the one that's difficult to get to because you just have to have the exact amount of thrust to get to it. It just
Okay, all right. Now I'm already annoyed. I'm already annoyed at the new
I can
game
see
here.
that. I can see that happening. That's the thing.
I think what will make it fun though is finding the best route with the jetpack will make it the most fun for sure.
And going back to this list here, so we got things that I'm gonna read them off pretty quickly. But you can do contracting, you can do bodybuilding, you can buff up your guy, you can do robberies, you can do bank robberies, like robberies, regular bank robberies, and then you have drug smuggling. You can do community services. Oh wow, okay.
You can do drug smuggling or community service, so you can feed the homeless one day, and then you can go rob them the next.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, you kind of balance that out. You can play drinking games apparently.
Well, of course. I mean, how could you have Grand Theft Auto without some drinking games?
You can.
I hope it's beer pong.
Yeah, you can participate in underground MMAs. Okay, can you imagine that, like a Fight Club type of scenario? You can do jet skiing. You can kayak. Mini golf, fishing, play pool, basketball. Which again, that's if they do it right, they can pretty much knock out NBA 2K. Let's see, hunting, gator shooting.
I want basketball to be like what the movie White Man Can't Jump, where there's like a bunch of trash talking and gambling.
Yeah, that's basically how I see it playing out. Gator shooting, dirt bike racing, and scuba diving. Those are the top things. So imagine all of those activities, which are just activities for you to do. And some of these were already in GTA 5 that they're probably just going to revamp and just retouch on. I bet you and be a little bit more detailed based on what they've got going on and how big their team is, because they can, right? They could just basically elaborate and make it.
They got a whole other over a year now to keep working on it.
So. Exactly. So I think so. Imagine all of that stuff is exactly what I would expect at some point in the future, not anywhere in the near future, just because they're still building up the base, is to incorporate a lot of stuff that's similar to that. I mean, that's just, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be great.
I'm just going to say it right now. They should take out the fishing game in Grand Theft Auto because if Cornucopias doesn't have the greatest fishing game of all time, I'm going to be disappointed, because as much as fishing has been talked about and as big a part of the game I already see it is, that it has to be the greatest fishing game of all time. There's just no other option.
But that's the thing. Again, just take what's great. Take what's out there. Take the best things out of every game out there and incorporate it. That's basically how, and I'm sure that's what they're going to be trying to do, right? I was just thinking of Helldivers 2 recently, because that game has been out for over a year, and the story and the lore have kept that thing alive, and they revamp it. And going back to one of your comments that you had mentioned about this game is when people, or not comment, but just how they planned on this game, like when people join this game as a brand new player, you're coming into the story as is, right? Like as based on it's same thing with Helldivers 2, and they're doing, and I think I was looking at the player charts. The game started off at I think 100 and I swear it was 400,000 players or something crazy like that out of nowhere. And I was like, whoa, that's insane. And then it dropped down to about 50 to 25,000 players at its low point last year. And it's right back up to the 125,000 players, just because of the most recent lore that came out with new enemies, new toys to play with, new guns. And just imagine that's kind of how this game is going to be, and just incorporate new stuff to it every single time.
Yeah, I mean it has I don't know what Helldivers schedule is for updates, but we have a built-in 13-week schedule that they're going to have to adhere to. That is the that is the seasonal competition. So no matter what you do with this game, I mean, there's going to have to be some kind of update every 13 weeks, whether it's, you know, big or small. It's going to happen because you're going to have to reset the competitions and things like that. So, you know, I can see it. Like I think they talked about, they don't know if it's going to be 12-week long competitions with like 1 week off. I could see it being 12 week where like that 1 week is really like, you know, almost like a celebration of what's next to come, you know. So
oh man, I can't wait. Yeah. I just want to start shooting stuff, man.
It's coming, man. I think we were hoping the build would be out by now, but today is June 1st. We're recording June 1st. We'll ask the question, Eddie, and we've been wrong every step of the way. Do we get the next build before or after the month of June? Are we at a 4th of July barbecue talking about the new build, or is it we're still waiting for it?
4th of July. I want to say it's going to be after 4th of July.
Yeah, I'm with you now. I've switched it where I thought we were going to have it at the end of April, and now I'm like, no, it's going to be after the 4th of July. I feel like I'm with you on that.
Well, the one thing about it is that, you know, Josh has committed to a date that he would make the announcement of the date. So on that date, we will go ahead and make that announcement of the announcement.
Exactly, the date of the announcement date will be forthcoming at some date in the future.
Yes, so we will announce that date when Josh announces the date of the date.
We will announce the date after the date of which Josh announces the date of the announcement.
Exactly.
So you have that to look forward to on a future Around the Corn. Yeah, Eddie, I'm gonna call that your final thoughts there, because that was Eddie's gold. You know, don't forget, as always, Eddie always tells you, remember to claim your rewards, right? Drip drops. We're all still doing all that.
And also do the engagement stuff too. Just make sure you do the engagements points and participate in promoting the game on Twitter and stuff like that. So get your points.
We will be back next week with an exciting, hopefully exciting conversation about the Governor NFTs. So if you have something you want us to talk about, and an idea, concern, or fear, or something that you want us to try to suss out here in the hour that we spend together every week, get that in the comments for us, so we can definitely have a better conversation. Eddie and I want to give a huge thanks, as always, to the Knights Guild for welcoming us into their amazing community. Be sure you follow them and us on X. You will find all the links you need in the description to join their Discord and explore the Guild's website. As always, massive shout out to Rob, Josh, and David. Thank you for being present this week on Discord to answer all our questions and concerns. It's been really helpful to have like that illumination, and it's helped us with this episode here to have more clarity on what's going on, so we can try to talk about it. So, you know, and keep up all the good work behind the scenes. We know that you're working hard, and we appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to Around the Corn, as a YouTube channel, so you don't miss next week's episode, which will be about the Governor token. So until next time, you will see me and Eddie, us, Around the Corn. But like, let me just go down this list real quick and see.
Yep.
All right, so we did 2-week hiatus, the mini game leak, the land grab, doing a land grab before utility exists. I think we talked about that a little bit.